Okay, everybody, good afternoon. What is going on? We've got some injury updates from the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. So let's take a look here. Starting with the news that came down a couple of hours ago. You've probably already heard this one, but nevertheless, let's talk about it for a second. This was the only injury we really had coming out of that Saints game on Sunday. But as it turns out, it ends up being a fairly significant one for the player, as Robbie Ouzts, our fullback, has been placed on injured reserve, expected to return after the 4-week minimum, but nevertheless will miss the next 4 games at the least. So no Robbie Ouzts for a little while, which I don't know how big of an impact he was making on the team, but he was certainly a part of the plan with the offense in a general sense. So it is a bummer. I know fans liked him. I know that he was becoming a fan favorite. And obviously, he is part of the offense that we're trying to build here. So it is too bad. Now, the good news is this team actually does kind of have another fullback already in place in Brady Russell. Presumably, he's going to get fullback reps tomorrow. So it's not like it's some loss that we are completely incapable of filling in for. But obviously, Ouzts is the guy that you'd prefer to have out there. So Robbie Ouzts is going to be missing some time here. They do indicate he'll be back probably, if I had to guess, I'd say after the bye week. To replace that roster spot, we picked D'Anthony Bell off the practice squad and put him on the 53-man, which makes plenty of sense to me. And Jarek Reed was added to the practice squad to replace D'Anthony Bell. Pretty happy about both those moves, I will say. Bell definitely deserves a spot on the 53-man, and I think Reed deserves a spot on the practice squad. So definitely enthused about that. Obviously, we had to lose a player to make that happen, but such is the nature of football. All right. So John Boyle posted the full injury report for both teams on his X account, so we'll be looking at that. Going to start with the Seahawks, move to the Cardinals. It's pretty cluttered. Remember, today was the only day where we had an actual real practice and not a walkthrough or a projection. So today's the only day where we were able to get real data. But once you work through the clutter, it's actually not too bad for the Seahawks. And it's not terrible for the Cardinals either. So let's just go ahead and take a look here. So starting with the Seahawks side of things, you can see how few players have actual game statuses. So definitely take some solace in that. Elijah Arroyo, no game status, full participant today, so should be fine to play. Ernest Jones was a full participant all week. No designation, fine to play. Julian Love, full participant. No designation. That's a big get back for us. Important. Very crucial. Robbie Ouzts is not listed with a game status because he's on IR now, so there doesn't need to be anything said there. So that does not mean he's going to play, to be clear. Jalen Sundell, after 2 days of being projected to be limited, full participant today. Game status, none. So good to go there. That's a relief. We might need him more than we know. More on that in a second. Leonard Williams, full participant, no game status. Devin Witherspoon, another big get back. No game status after being a full participant today. So we're definitely getting some important players back. Let's take 60 seconds to talk about Sleeper. Before we go any further into this video, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends over at Sleeper. Have you heard about the app, the Sleeper app? Download it. I'm going to let you in on a little something now. It's more than just a platform for fantasy leagues. Yes, this year, millions of users enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but there is so much more to this app. There are live stats, real-time updates, and visualizations on all stats. News feed is lightning fast. You get updates on your favorite players and teams. There is a chat you can use in real time to engage with other users about plays and performances. All kinds of fun stuff like that over there. So download the Sleeper app, the #1 sports app today. Experience it yourself. Use promo code SBN to get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. SBN promo code. Back to the video. All right, welcome back. The question marks the Seahawks have include Zach Charbonnet questionable and Boye Mafe questionable. Here's the thing, though. Both of those guys were full participants today. So it would be kind of weird if you had a player be a full participant the day before a game and still not play in the game. And Zach Charbonnet was a full participant all week. So hard for me to imagine him missing this game. Same for Mafe. That's not something you typically see. Sorry for my cough, by the way. Flaring up a little bit right now. The interesting one here, the interesting questionable one here is Anthony Bradford. Because whatever happened must have happened during practice because he was not listed on Monday or Tuesday. And suddenly today he's limited and now questionable for the game tomorrow. So that is definitely a wrinkle that we could not have seen coming. If Anthony Bradford can't play, there's been indications that Shane Lemieux is going to be the guy, which he just got here. That speaks to how little trust we have in our backup guards, I guess. Like, if it's Lemieux over Richmond or Cabledew, then I kind of get it. But it also indicates that we're just not really liking what we see with those guys, which is not great. And as much as Bradford has not played well in the most recent, did not play well in the most recent game, I'm still inclined to believe we're better off with him than with Shane Lemieux, who has been a backup level player his whole career. So definitely wary of this. Say what you want to say about Bradford, and there's plenty to say about him that is not good, especially after that game against the Saints, but him figuring out the run blocking thing is a big part of this team getting to where they want to go this season. We do have one player listed as doubtful, and this one is a bummer. One, it's Nick Emenwari, our very exciting rookie that we all like. So that's a bummer on its own. But then you also have the fact that he was a full participant today, but is still doubtful, which, again, you usually don't see things like that. And let's be real here. Doubtful, they say it's 25% chance of playing. In my experience, it's more like 10. So, straight up, I doubt that Emenwari will actually play on Thursday. So, not expecting Emenwari at this point. And also, let's remember, we did not put him on IR. So, at this point, he's missed 3 games. If he misses one more game, then we're at the point where we should have just put him on IR, and that was a miscalculation on our part. Now, the good news is, if he gets back for next week, which you got to believe he has a really good chance of doing based on the fact that he was a full participant in practice today, that's a game we could really use him for because Tampa Bay is very deep with their receiver room, although it may not be as deep as typical with Mike Evans out, but at least he's on the right track. But it is disappointing we're not going to have him. And out this week is Josh Jones, the backup tackle, didn't participate all week, and he is out. Not a surprise. And hopefully not a big deal. I will say this, though. We don't really have a backup tackle at the moment. Who's our backup left tackle? Who's our backup right tackle? I think the answer is we don't really have one. So, kind of playing with fire. If either of those guys gets dinged up in any way, shape, or form, I'm not excited to see what this offense does. I'm not excited to see what that looks like. But once you boil it down, the injury report's not bad. It just reflects a short week more than anything. And every team at some point this season is going to have to deal with a short week. So let's flip over to the Arizona side of things where they have their own set of problems, probably even bigger than the Seahawks. All right, so first we got 2 guys here who are fine. One guy here who's fine. My bad. Calais Campbell. So we don't have to worry about this one. He didn't practice today, but that's because he's old. So he's just resting. He will play. And then you also have the James Conner thing where he's not listed here because they already know he's done for the year. So there's not much to say. They don't need to put him on the game reports anymore because we know he's not playing. All right, so let's get through some of the things here that are not clear. So Kelvin Beachum, backup tackle, who, by the way, his availability becomes very intriguing and very compelling if the Cardinals have some other injuries, was limited today after missing the first 2 days. In theory, by the way, remember, they did the walkthrough and they did projections on Monday. Questionable. Normally not a big deal. In this circumstance, could be a big deal. He is next man up behind Paris Johnson, to the best of my knowledge. And while his resting player designation was a reasonable excuse for projecting him being out of Monday and Tuesday, the fact that he was limited today during actual practice indicates there could be a real problem. Evan Brown, with the ankle injury, remains limited. He was limited in practice after being limited in theory for 2 days, so he is questionable. I guess that he's going to play, but this is the short week. You can always see some curveballs here. So Evan Brown, important part of what they do. He's been pretty good for them at left guard. And if he can't go, and they're also not getting the play out of their left tackle, that whole left side of the offensive line is a mess. All right. Akeem Davis Gaither, starting linebacker for that team. Elbow injury, limited all week, questionable. I imagine he's going to play. Again, the short week messes things up, but I don't think this is a game that he's going to miss. Sorry if you can hear my dog back there. Darren Hall, not the most crucial player in the world, but with some of the injuries the Cardinals already have at their secondary, he might be a little bit more important than you think. Limited all week, questionable. Again, if I had to guess, I would say he would play because he did practice in some capacity all week, but such is the nature of Thursday Night Football. Will Hernandez, limited all week, questionable. Probably not the biggest deal in the world. I believe he's currently a backup for that team, but again, their depth is really being tested in Arizona. And Paris Johnson, this is the big one, or, well, not the big one, but one of the big ones. With the knee, limited all week, now questionable. Remember, he was limited in practice last week on Friday, and then he missed the game on Sunday. So there is a little bit of a precedence here of him not being able to go. So definitely a question mark there. And again, that's your left tackle. If Paris Johnson can't go, if Kelvin Beachum can't go, what do they do at left tackle? Do they bump Will Hernandez, who might not even be 100% out there? I don't know. That's a disaster. That's a mess. All right. They also got Will Johnson doubtful, so he's probably out. Very unlikely that a rookie misses all practice. And again, I know that 2 of these practices aren't real, but you guys know what I mean. Wednesday did not participate. The day before a game, he can't practice. I cannot imagine he plays. So cross off Will Johnson and Zay Jones as expected. My head's kind of blocking it, but there you go. He's out. So no Zay Jones. So they have bigger problems than we do, that's for sure. They could be missing a big chunk of their offensive line. They could be missing some of their defensive depth. They could be missing, well, they will be missing one of their top young players, one of their top corners in Will Johnson, and of course, Zay Jones is out. So those are some big blows for a team that's already a little bit thin. Remember, we've talked about the issues they've had getting a healthy team with Ojulari, with Walter Nolan, with Garrett Williams. All these guys are still out. Okay. So that's it for the injury report this week. Kind of a longer video because there was a lot to get through. You get these crowded injury reports on Thursday. Thursday Night Football creates some uncomfortable situations for these players. All right. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Going to get this video up and let me know what you guys think.